All right, so that's why the topic of investment is very, very, very critical. So like I said, there are three things you can do with money. You can make money, you can manage money, you can what? You can multiply money. All right, so and money multiplication has to do with, that is where the subject of investment comes into play. But the challenge is a lot of us don't understand what investment truly is. And that's why over the years, so many people have lost their hard-earned money, through scams, through Ponzi schemes, through systems that promises them, some returns on investments, and all of a sudden they just disappear. So there are several schemes, programs, that have suggested investment to us, but because we don't understand the rules that governs investment, we fall into some of these scams. All right, so and that has eaten so much into our resources and has affected our journey. All right, so so let me share a story with you. I have a friend who, she worked in the bank. She was actually working in the bank, and she worked in the bank for I think about a year plus, if not up to 2 years. And in the process, she was saving money. All right, in the process, of course, she knew how to save. She was saving money, and so when she left the bank, she was like, okay, this money that I've saved, I think she was able to save about almost ₦1 million, you know, because there are so many expenses here and there. So she was able to put aside over ₦1 million. So when she left the banking system, she was like, okay, let me use this money, let me, practically invest it. And guess what? She invested into cryptocurrency. I think she bought one coin that particular year. And all of a sudden, that was how the coin did so bad, and she lost all her investments. So she has saved money over a long period of time, but she lost all of those savings because she didn't understand investment. She put that money into an investment system, a system that, crashed. And at the end of the day, she lost all her money. But guess what? Let me say something here. She didn't just lose money, she lost a part of her life. Because anytime you lose money, you have not just lost money in itself, you have lost time and you have lost a part of your life. Because that money that she invested, she actually saved that money within a period of her life. And she used her time to generate that money. And don't forget, your time is your life. If you waste 5 hours of your time, you have actually wasted 5 hours of your life. All right, because your time on earth is equivalent to the life you spend on earth. So that's why I think I heard this statement from Miles Morrow. He said, when people or when people say this statement, I just want to kill time. Killing time is not murder. Killing time is suicide. So when you say you want to kill time, you are not committing a murder. You are actually committing suicide, because whatever time you kill, whatever time you waste, you're actually wasting a fraction of your life. So you are committing, suicide. So it's yourself you are killing. All right, because one resource that is common to everybody that you can never buy or replace is time. All right, so that's why how we use our money is very critical, because how you use the money you earn is equivalent to how you use your life or how you use your time. So that's why I'm very careful with things that I put my money into, because whenever I make money, that money I made is a fraction of my life, because I spent time, I spent energy, in generating that money. So I'm very careful how I use such kind of money. All right. So that's why the knowledge of investment is very, very critical. All right. So what is investment in practical terms? And I say to people, investment is you buying a day that you don't have to work. Is you buying off a day that you don't have to work. All right. So the idea of investment is your money working for you. The idea of investment is what? Your money working for you. All right. So, but a lot of people don't understand how this thing truly works. Now, before you invest into any platform, you must understand two things. Number one, every investment comes with a risk and comes with a reward. Every investment comes with a risk and comes with a reward. So there are two words that is associated with investment: risk and reward. But guess what? So many people focus on reward and neglect the risk. So many people are overwhelmed with the results, with the reward, and they neglect the risk. But what they don't understand is the higher the reward, the higher the risk involved. Meaning, if you have a system that is promising you 30% in a month, that is a reward. That is the height of the reward, 30% per month. But what you don't understand is, for a system to give you 30% per month, that system is also exposing your capital to a high level of risk. So meaning, if you are going into a platform that is promising you 30% in a month, what you should also tell yourself, or what you should also know, is that the propensity for you to lose your money is also very high. So high risk will always deliver high reward. Minimum risk will always deliver minimum reward. Then low risk will always deliver low reward. So that's why from the beginning, before you pull out your money and say, I want to invest, first of all, define your investment goal. That is the first thing you must define. Why do you want to invest? Why? Ask yourself that question. Why? There are several reasons there are several reasons people have to invest. For example, you can invest because you want a quick return. You can invest because you want a futuristic return. You can invest because you want to use it as a strategy to save your money, but you don't just want to save. You want to save in a system that can create capital appreciation over time. You can invest because you are actually investing for maybe a particular year of your life, maybe when you are going to have kids and your kids are going to come out of school, or maybe they want to get into university. So you are doing this investment for that purpose. So the kind of goal you have, your goal determines the kind of investment you should do. So don't invest your money without defining why you want to invest in the first place. So you must first of all define your investment goal. So your investment goal is what regulates the kind of investment you should do. All right. So there are some persons who want to invest, and in the process of investing, they want to be able to get their money in liquidity whenever they have an emergency. For example, if somebody wants to invest if somebody wants to invest his or her money, and want to be able to gain some level of liquidity in the process of investment, one of the investments you should not do is fixed real estate assets. For example, you buy a land, you say you want to invest, you buy a property, maybe the property worth 1 million naira or 2 million or whatever it is. But your investment goal is that whenever you need money, you need liquidity. It will be very, very unreasonable for you to go and buy real estate, knowing that real estate, especially when it comes to the fixed part of real estate, because we have two kinds. You have fixed assets and cash flow assets. So if you invest in fixed assets in real estate, for you to have liquidity, you have to sell that asset to get cash. So, but if, for example, you invest in a cash flow asset, for instance, you have a land, and maybe in the position where you have the land, you have people who come and say, okay, I want to rent this land to do farming, or I want to rent this land to do something on it, then I'm going to be paying you every month for using your land. Now, that is not just a fixed asset. As much as the land is static, is also generating what? Cash flow. So what that means is, if you have an emergency, you can use the monthly cash flow that you are making on that asset to, do what? To service your emergency. But if it's a fixed asset, you cannot have liquidity. So it will defile the goal. So if the goal is you want to put out money somewhere, I've seen a lot of people that have contacted me and say, see, I want to invest in real estate too, but I want it in a way whereby whenever I need the money, I should be able to get the money. I will just tell them straight up. It is not, if you want your money whenever you need it, investment and real estate is not a go-to investment for you. So that kind of investment, you should do mutual funds. All right. Mutual funds falls under capital market. So when you invest in mutual funds, for instance, you can invest, 100,000, 200,000, 5 million, or whatever. What mutual fund does is per annum, they pay you, I think, about 10 to 15% per annum. But the benefit of mutual fund is that you can liquidate anytime. But if you have a fixed asset, for instance, and you say the purpose of investment is that you want to have some level of liquidity on a fixed asset, which is real estate, it won't work. Why? Because when you now need that money, you will now realize that you have to sell that property to do what? You have to sell that property to liquidate your cash. And sometimes it might not be as fast as you want before somebody will buy the property. So that's why you hear this word, distress sale. All right. So distress sale was born out of somebody has a fixed asset and he has an emergency. He needs some level of liquidity, but now he doesn't have the liquidity. So what he needs is he needs to liquidate that asset to be able to, to generate some level of cash. And guess what? The asset is not selling as fast as he wants. So the best way to quickly, convert is to put that such property on what we call, on distress sale. So a property that is worth, let's say 5 million, he can say, oh, because he needs quick cash, let's do it for 2 million, 3, so that even somebody who is not interested in buying it before would want to pay for that particular kind of property. So you realize that your goal, the kind of goal you have, will determine the kind of investment you should do. Now, what we see in our world today, and I say this, a lot of us, we need to understand that you live life forward, but you understand life backward. Life is lived forward, but understood backward. One way or the other in our lives, we have made this statement, oh, I wish I knew some of the things that I know today, I would have done better. All right. So, and there are series of, events, series of activities that has happened in our life, even in our process of, putting money in one platform or the other. A lot of us have got our hands burnt. A lot of us has, got our integrity even, at stake and what have you. Why? Because we didn't understand the basics of investment. So like I said, risk and reward are like twin when it comes to investment. So whenever you're talking about the reward, for example, somebody walk up to you and say, see, I have this platform that I want you to put your money into. And, the platform is going to pay you, let's say 15% per month and what have you. And, the next thing you are asking is, oh, is it true? Yes. Is it working? Has anybody withdrawn? They say, yes, people are withdrawing. Guess what? You immediately carry your money. All the money you have saved, though, you carry the money and say, oh, yeah, register me. Oh, yeah, so that you start earning 15% per month. Lo and behold, it was that month that you signed up that the business crashed. Then you start saying it's your village people. It is not your village people. It is you. You are the village person that is affecting your destiny. Why? Because of your high level of greed. You are so greedy that you don't understand you don't understand what governs investment. How would somebody promise you 15, 20, 30% in a month, and you think that kind of investment is sustainable? See, it has never happened in the history of this world. Go and make your research. It has never happened. As a matter of fact, one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world is the bank. Anybody who promises you something way too high from what the bank is giving you is a scam. It is not sustainable. Financially speaking, it is not sustainable. So that's why I wonder how people just think that they want to just get into, some form of investment and think they will just get away with it. It will not work. I've seen scenarios, when we started developing our knowledge on investment. I've seen scenarios whereby people will just come and meet me. Oh, there's this thing over here, and you earn 15% to that. I'll just be smiling and say, see, it will not work. See, people are withdrawing, yes, but we are looking at the principles that governs investment. There are certain rules. So that the thing is working today doesn't mean it will keep working for the next 10 years. The only guarantee that it will work for the next 10 years is when it falls in between the rules. If it does not fall in between that rule or the principles that governs investment, just forget it. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. A lot of people will lose money. You might escape it, fine and well. But one thing is guaranteed, that the system is not sustainable. All right. So that is why, first and foremost, we need to fix the fact that what is your investment goal? Why do you want, if somebody approach you and say, oh, this is an investment opportunity, the first question you will ask, why do I want to do this investment? Is it that I just want to quickly multiply my money? For example, there's a guy in Ghana that reached out to me, one of my Ghana leaders. He was talking to me about somebody he wants to bring into the business, Fination now. And he was like, okay, the guy is interested in joining Fination, but he wants a program in Fination that is investment oriented, where he doesn't have to, refer people to earn. He just wants, this investment stuff. Then I said, okay, fine. I offered him an opportunity to earn, I think, about 20 to 30% per annum for a year. I think I did 30% here, 30% per annum. Then the guy sent me a message that 30% is too much, is too small rather, that he needs something that will be earning at least, let's say, 10 to 15% in a month. And I told him that, see, I don't have any of such opportunity for you. All right, so but you can find it somewhere else. But one thing is certain, wherever you find it, just know that you have a very high risk of losing your money. So it's 50-50. So just know that one first, because we have seen this thing happen over and over again. So it is not new. So any platform that comes and tell you, oh, come and invest, you get 10-15%, is just high risk. And high risk will always go with high level of, high reward and all of that. So the opportunity you have to lose your money is also very high. And there are only two rules of investment. There are only two rules of investment. The first rule, or the first law of investment by Warren Buffett, he said, never lose your capital. Please write it down. The first law, any kind of investment you want to do, the first thing that must be at the front of your mind, not at the back of, the first thing that must be at the front of your mind is that, how can I secure my capital? Even if it's not all, but at least the investment must have some level of guarantee that even though you don't give me return on investment, but at least I should have return of investment. I hope we understand that. There's a difference between return on investment and return of investment. Return on investment is the profit you make on your investment. But return of investment is that even if I don't make profit, shall I just return my money? At least my capital should not go. That is return of investment. And a lot of people have ventured into systems that they are not even begging for return on investment now. Just return of investment. That's what they are looking for. At least just return my capital, please. Even though my capital, you are not giving me any interest, just shall return my capital, please, I beg you. That's what they are looking for. So the first rule of investment is never lose your capital. Never expose your capital to a level that you cannot control the losses anymore. That's the first law of investment. So whichever, and doesn't matter the story they have to say around all of the thing, or whether they, there are different ways they paint all of these stories. They'll paint it. Oh, sorry, my light has gone off. Just a moment, please. Okay, so what I'm saying in essence is the first law or the first rule to investment is never lose your capital. So it doesn't matter the stories they have around it. Always ask yourself this question. If I invest my money into this project or whatever it is, what is the guarantee that I'm not losing my capital? See, forget about the profit. People are more people. The challenge is the poverty level of Nigerians and Africans. Almost make them lost the sense of how can I protect my capital. So they are just looking at, oh, okay, 20%. Okay, let's go. Just give the person all the money you have, and all of a sudden you start hearing stories. All right, so you must ask yourself, whatever I'm going to put my money into, what is the guarantee that, sorry, I don't lose my capital? So that's the first thing you must always think about. So yes, the reward is good. So don't focus on only the reward, because don't forget that as much as you are going to have rewards, there's still a possibility that both the reward and the capital may never come back. All right. So that's why you also need to focus on, okay, what guarantee do I have? If it has to do with you signing a document with whosoever you want to invest, with, or if it has to you doing some level of deep investigation, going to the office of the people that are, that want to do the investment or whatever, but just do your due diligence enough, so much so that your capital is safe. And I always tell people, investigate before you invest. Always investigate before you invest. So that's the first law. First law is never lose your capital, because your capital is very important to you. Then the second rule of investment is never forget rule number 1. So there are only 2 laws. The first law of investment is never lose your capital, while the second law is never forget law number 1. Never lose your capital. Please and please, if you didn't learn anything today, please learn this, and this should be a guide. So whatever kind of investment you want to do, always be so sure that your capital is safe. Always be so sure. And there are 3 levels of investment. We have the high risk investment, we have the minimal risk investment, and we have the low risk investment. So you can write it down. The high risk, minimal risk, and low risk. So the high risk investment promises high return. High risk gives you high reward. Minimal risk gives you minimal reward. Low risk gives you low reward. So what do you do when you have these three options of investment? Now, this is not to say that you should not invest in high risk investment. You can also invest in high risk investment, all right? Because it's also very important to take risk, because at some point some of these things still work, but the only challenge is may not be sustainable, but it's possible it can work for you. All right, so that's why I always encourage people, if you are investing in high risk investment, just do the investment. You don't have to promote it. You don't have to promote, because when you start promoting it now, especially when you're not promoting it with your integrity, when anything happens, people refer back to you that, oh, I did this investment because of you. At the end of the day, you are actually killing your integrity, and integrity is capital. People should be able to trust your decision when it comes to some level of financial investment and what have you. So that's why there are three levels. So if you have 100,000, for instance, and you have an option to invest in high risk, minimal risk, and low risk, now what do you do? If you have 100,000, now use the lowest fraction of that 100,000 to invest in high risk. So for example, you have 100K and you have a project that is in front of you that is promising you 50% per annum and 15% per month. Now, what you need to do is invest 10% of your 100,000. All right. Invest 10% of your 100,000. Do you know why? Because if at all you lose 10%, you are still alive. It will not shake you that bad. Because the challenge is sometimes, even when this opportunity comes, so many people, invest almost everything they have. This is a high risk investment. Now you have just 100,000, and guess what? You are willing to put out over 80 to 90,000 on a high risk investment. So if anything happens to your investment, your life is almost we just go out of shape. Why? Because you've lost all your money. So if at all you want to do high risk investment, put a fraction, and the lowest fraction. This is an instruction. See, I'm saying all of these things so that it can help you make the right decision. Don't forget, the entire idea of this community is for you to be financially free. And financial freedom requires some high level of wisdom. So you don't just make unreasonable decisions because you have the money in the bank. No, you make strategic decisions, because your decisions, in fact, we make decisions, but our decisions make us. We make decisions, but your decisions determines your future. All of the decisions you have made, few from the day you were born, when you started having some level of sense, to today, all those decisions that you have made is what has brought you to where you are. So the next level of your life will also be traceable to the decisions that you are making today. So that's why you must make quality decisions on your finances. So, like I said, if you have 100,000 and you have a high risk investment opportunity in front of you, please don't invest 80%. That is high level of foolishness. And the reason why some of us, act in that kind of foolish way is just greed. You just want to make it overnight. You just want to see, you cannot be wealthy overnight. You can only be wealthy over time. So don't allow greed get a hold of you. No, follow the rules, follow the principles. I've been there, whereby I was actually in the midst of some level of some people who were doing some form of investment, and the pressure was so high. And several of them came to meet me and like, see, what do you think about this investment? I just told them, I said, see, I am not saying the investment will not work, but please invest what you are willing to lose. Invest the kind of money that when you lose it, it doesn't affect you. All right. So that's just my advice. I am not saying you should not do it, but the rule says if you meet, okay, what is high risk? Anything that promises you from 10% per month and above. In fact, from 5% and above is already high risk. Because if a bank will tell you that, oh, they will give you, let's say 10% or 15% per annum, Then a platform just came and it's telling you, I'm going to give you 10% in a month. It's almost not reasonable. So if you are looking at per annum, you should be looking at something that will give you, let's say, 30%, 35, 40. But once it's entering 60, 70% in a year or more, is already a high risk. Is already a high risk investment. So if you want to look at monthly, you are looking at something that will do 5% below. Anything above 5% and above is already high risk. In fact, 5% is, you can call 5% per month a minimal risk, because 5% per month in a year, that's already 60%. So that can be like a medium risk. But for you to have a low risk investment, you should be looking at 2%, 3% per month, because you see, investment is not just about the profit. Investment is about the consistency, and the sustainability. Because when it keeps coming and you keep compounding, you keep coming and you keep compounding, over time you will make good money, other than just trying to look for a platform that you want to just put in everything, and at the end of the day your money is gone. Both profit and your capital is nowhere to be found. All right, so if you want to do minimal risk investment, for example, you have 100,000 and you want to do minimal risk, you should be looking at least, let's say, 20%, 20 to 30%. All right, so if you have 100K, you can do 30,000 for minimal risk. At least your risk of losing your money is not so high. All right, so, but if it's a high risk, 10%, so that when you lose the money, it doesn't shake you, you can, continue your life. Then when you want to now look at low risk, you can do up to 50% of your money. 50%, 60% is allowed of your money. All right, so because the level, the risk of losing your money at that level is very, very low. And some of the low risk investment that you can do is mutual funds. Mutual funds will give you, we promise you, I think about 15% per annum. You can do treasury bills. Treasury bills, it's in, sometimes they do 3 months, 6 months. Treasury bills, this is where the government of our nation collects money from individuals. So there are treasury bills opportunity. You can also do bonds, and some of those bonds and all of that comes with, let's say, 20% per annum, or some 15% per annum, some 25 per annum. All right, so you can do form of real estate. All right, real estate is pretty much a low risk investment. All right, because it requires some level of time. For example, you want to do land banking. Before your land of 500,000 can appreciate to, let's say, 5 million, it will take some level, some time. So it's not a get rich quick kind of investment. All right, especially when it's a fixed asset. So you can look at 60% of your income to venture into low risk investment. Why? Because the propensity of you losing your money is very low. All right, and sometimes low risk investment even have some level of insurance banking them. For example, if you are doing mutual funds systems, they have insurance policies that backs them up, so that even when they lose money, the insurance will show up. All right, so the guarantees on low risk investment is pretty high. So the ability for you to lose money at that level is very low, very, very low. All right, so of course we don't want to say it is not possible to lose money at all, because there is nothing like no risk investment. There is nothing like that. So there's nothing like no risk investment. All right, so that is what you need to look at. Then another thing you need to look at is your investment, your risk appetite. Now, the older you get, the lower your risk appetite can be. For example, if you are still in your 20s, or maybe you are still in 22, 23, approaching 30s, you are still allowed to do high risk investments that you have the opportunity to lose money. All right, so maybe you are doing some form of cryptocurrencies, forex, and you are losing money. Guess what? If you lose your income at that level, you still have time. All right, you still have time. Let's say you still have, 30, 40, 50 years, to recover. Some of the things that the level where we were when we were losing money, we were still pretty young. I started some of this investment early. So at my 20s, I was still losing money. All right. I was still losing millions. But at this level of my life now, I cannot afford to keep losing money. Why? Because if I lose money now, I need some form of another 2 to 3 years to recoup it. For example, like the last business that I said I've shared before that I started in 2019, where in 2020, 2021, the business did so well. And we ventured into Forex at some point with no knowledge, nothing. And we lost millions. In fact, I needed to start paying debt. Now, apart from the fact that I lost money, I need to get some level of courage and recoup, get myself back on my financial track. And for me to do that, I need to put in some level of work. So it will require work, time. That's why sometimes when I look at some of the money I had like 2 years ago, it grieves me, because these are some of the money that if I had today, I know what I would have done in real estate. But I'm trying to recoup those money now. I'm trying to work those things out. Like I'm, taking that journey again. And it requires a lot of work, energy, patience, perseverance, and all of that. So you imagine now, after I've come back, I've bounced back, and I'm now back on that level and more. I cannot afford to lose that money again, because age is already catching up with me. So the decisions I'm going to take at this level of my life have to be based on my risk appetite. What kind of risk can I take at this level because of my age? So at your 20s, there are some level of risk you can take that, you just take the risk. When you're already hitting your 30s, your 40s, you can't take some certain kind of risk. Because if you lose the money, you don't have time anymore. Time is already against you. So your risk appetite is very low. So sometimes when I don't give in to some of these opportunities, it's not really like I don't want to do them, but because my risk appetite is very low because of my age. So you imagine somebody who has worked as a civil servant for, let's say, 15, 25 years. Now, this guy has gotten his annuity. He has been paid pension of, let's say, 20 million. Now, this guy cannot afford to go and put his money in cryptocurrency. This guy cannot afford to go and put his money in Forex. Because if he tries it, because cryptocurrency, Forex, these are volatile platforms. They are highly volatile platforms. That if he mistakenly put money into those platforms without the required knowledge, and somehow, one way or the other, he loses the money, he has lost 25 years of his life. So that's why I said, whenever you lose money, you lose a particular
recording in progress.
You lose a particular phase of your life. Because you imagine somebody who has worked for 25 years. Now the money he got as annuity or as pension, whatever you call it, he now puts it into high risk investment, and this guy lost the money. Where will he start from? He has lost 25 years. So at that level now, his risk appetite is very low. So this one is not, we don't have to even negotiate it. You cannot do high risk. Even minimal risk is a no-go area. Is just do your low risk investment, something that you know that your capital will not go, but your returns will still be coming in, and all of that. Just that kind of person now can use his money to build an apartment, can use the money to build, a mini hotel that you'll be earning, as long as that hotel is existing, you'll be earning money. So you cannot afford to do high risk at that level. So that's why I said your risk appetite is always connected to your age. Because the older you get, the lower the risk that you can take. The younger you are, you can still take some level of, risk. Because if you lose your money, you can recover. You still have time. But when you advance, your age is hitting your 30s, your 40s, or more, you have to be very strategic. You cannot afford to keep losing money at that level because you don't have time anymore. All right. So that's also another critical part we need to look at. We need to analyze what our risk appetite is per time, so that we'll be able to take the right, investment decisions that will not ruin our life and our finances at the end of the day. All right. So that is very critical. But one thing is certain, that the subject of investment is one subject that no human being can run away from. As long as you have a plan to create wealth, you cannot run away from what? From investment, because investment still remains the only way you can multiply your money. All right. So, but the only challenge is we need to understand the rules that governs investment. So when you understand the rules that governs investment, you understand how to strategically take decisions based on your investment goal, and how to strategically take decisions based on your risk appetite. When you're able to balance all of this information, so when an opportunity comes to you, you filter that opportunity with this knowledge. So you don't just take up the opportunity because somebody says, oh, who cares? I don't care. So when you bring an opportunity to me, the first thing I will ask myself is, okay, this opportunity, what is the what is the potential there for me to lose my capital? Okay, I'm going to analyze it. If that side is solved, then I'm going to look at, okay, what is my investment goal? Now, based on my financial planning now, and that's where financial planning comes in. So when you have a detailed financial plan, all right, you determine the kind of investment that fits your plan. You don't just invest. So that's why the first thing everybody even needs to do is, what is your financial plan? In the next 10 years, what financial plan do you have? So you must understand that your investment decisions should fit into your financial plan. So, but let's just assume some of us don't have detailed financial plan. So I'm just giving you a general idea that whether you have financial plan or you don't have financial plan, at least when you are faced with an investment opportunity, what do you do? What are the knowledge that runs through your mind before you take on such opportunity? Like I said, first is you must ensure that that opportunity doesn't have the capacity for you to lose your capital. So don't lose your capital, regardless of what returns they are telling you that investment is going to give you. So don't look at the returns alone. Look at the probability of you losing your money. So if the probability of you losing your money is high, please back out, because that is the first rule. The first rule is never lose your capital. And guess what? In high risk investment, these are ways that you can easily lose your capital. So when the opportunity is looking high risk, so high risk is when it's beyond 5% per month, is already a high risk investment. See, it doesn't matter what the story they tell you. Once it's beyond 5% per month, it's already a high risk. So the ability for you to lose your money at that level is also very guaranteed. You will lose it well, and everybody will go home. All right. So that's number one rule you must check. Then the number two is, what is your investment goal? Why should I do this investment? Because there are several investments you can do. It doesn't have to be that one. So why does it fit into your investment goal at this time? So if it doesn't fit into your investment goal, please discard it. You don't need it. And the last one is, what is, and based on the risk involved in this kind of investment, does it fit into my risk appetite? So if it does not fit into your risk appetite, based on your age and and the time and the time you have to recoup in case you lose your money, if it doesn't fit into it, please discard it. You don't need it. All right. So these are certain things. These are just a summary of what you would need when it comes to making the right investment decisions. But like I said, you can never grow money without investment. So that's why investment is very critical. Go and study investment. Go and learn about investment. Go and read about it. And our July event, Finance and Wealth Mastery with Caleb Akpasubi is going to be holding on July. All right. And that event, we're going to be talking about some vital topics. Let me see if I can get that here. Okay. So we're going to talk about some vital topics, and investment is fortunately part of it. All right. I hope you can see my screen. So please, I really want us to share this event. If the first one you attended was a blessing to you, as much as you can, share it with as many people as possible. And guess what? This is one event you don't want to miss out from. So we're going to talk about 5 basic things. The first, you are going to talk about marketing and sales. See, let me tell you the truth. Some of the billionaires you see in the world are people who understand marketing and sales. All right. There's a level at which you can create wealth if you are not a good salesman. Sales is a critical part of every wealthy person you see on the planet. So you must understand marketing and sales. So regardless of the business that you do, regardless of the industry that you play, regardless of whatever, like I always tell people, your sales results always reflect on your bank statement. Your bank statement is your report card when it comes to sales. Even in Fination Global, I'm one of the top sales persons. So I don't wait for any sales consultant to come and sell. Of course, I empower them, I train them, I inspire them to sell, but I can't wait for them, all right, because that is my number one duty, to sell, because no company can work, no company can be sustained without cash flow. And it's only marketing and sales that brings in cash flow. All right, so we'll also talk about budgeting, how to design a personal workable budget that fits your income, and how to follow it. Then investment, understanding how to multiply your money. So we're going to expatiate more of what I taught tonight. All right, we're going to expatiate more on it. Then insurance, or more insurance. This is one topic a lot of people don't have an idea of. So we're going to treat insurance, understanding the secret to financial and asset protection. So while you are joining into financial freedom, the little you have, protect it. That is the idea of insurance. So in your journey to financial freedom, as you are making this money that you are making now, please have a system of protection around that money. And please, I always tell people, the blood of Jesus is not a risk strategy. Blood of Jesus is good, but it's not a risk strategy. So even good things, even bad things happen to good people. So while you are there, yes, also have an insurance system. And we're going to talk so much about insurance and why you need to take on to 1 or 2 insurance policies here and there. Then we have real estate, the gold mine secret to wealth creation and wealth retention. So we're also going to talk about real estate. So please, apart from the fact that you'll be attending this program, as much as you can, help us share. So gospel will actually be reposting on that group, so that we can keep sharing on our status. Share the link to as many friends that you have to register. For those who cannot use the link to register, you can tell them to chat. There's a number I'll drop on the group, so they can chat the number up and manually send their information on the to the WhatsApp number. All right, so we have started running Facebook ads. All right, so we've already gotten some people who have started registering for the event. So please don't miss this event. Please don't miss it, because knowledge is key. There's so much that we will keep learning, so much that we'll keep learning and keep learning. And like I tell people, the day you stop learning, that day you start dying. So learning, it's a part of life, just the same way you keep eating. So learning, it's a part of life. All right. So the more you learn, the more you have the capacity to earn. So never you lose sight on your learning abilities. All right. So I'll just take 1 or 2 questions. If you have a question based on what we have shared so far, you can, indicate, put up your hand, and we'll take your questions. Then we'll call it a night. Thank you very much. Okay, Gospel, you have a question?
No, sir, I'm just making a clap.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Obed, you can unmute.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for the lecture, sir.
Yes, sir, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, sir. Sir, you talked about insurance.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know because you find out that most people don't usually have a good experience from insurance, like people that have patronized insurance one way or the other. So is there a way we can also manage insurance risks? Because I've heard people's experience that they did one insurance or the other. At the end of the day, the purpose for the insurance was not even met. The insurance companies kept giving, just posting them. So is there a way we can also manage that? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so the idea of insurance, personally, I've done insurance before. I think when I bought my car in 2020, when I bought my car in 2020, that was a GAC Jeep. I insured the car. The first year I did 500,000 naira for insurance, and I think at that time I used Allianz. I used Allianz for the insurance, and for me, I didn't have any issues with them. All right. I think the little issues that I had on the car then, when I had scratches on the car, when I had some engine problems, here and there, they were able to fix it. So, and the insurance worked for me. So, but I think another challenge is there are several insurance companies out there, and you must know the strength of each of the insurance companies. There are some insurance companies that their strength is they have more strength on automobile. All right, they have more strength on cars. When you insure cars with them, you get a high level of result. There are some insurance companies that they do their functionality works more in the health sector. There are some is life insurance. So what we are going to do is, after getting the general information of insurance, we are going to recommend insurance companies to us. So if you want to do, as a matter of fact, in Fination, we have insurance and we have a plan for insurance. All right, so we're just still trying to solidify one or two things so that individuals can do insurance policies through us. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right, so we're going to recommend insurance companies with us. But the first thing first, we need to have the knowledge. All right, we need to have the knowledge, because as much as some people have some bad experiences with insurance, we still have pretty much people who has good experiences with them as well, and it's working for them. So, and I always tell people that if you have a steady income, insure your income, especially when you are the breadwinner of your family. So we're going to talk deep into it anyway. So you can insure, for example, if you are earning, let's say 200,000 monthly, and per annum, 200,000 monthly per annum, it's about 2.4 million. And if you are the breadwinner of your family, you can actually insure 5 years ahead of your 5 years ahead of your monthly income. So what that means is, if in case there's any eventualities that happens and the breadwinner dies, the insurance company is going to pay the dependents, the potential money that that person would have made if he or she was alive. All right. So that's why, because people don't understand some of these things, that's why if you don't have insurance policies around that, when the breadwinner dies, the dependent suffers. So it is already very sympathetic. It is already very bad that they've lost the person as an individual. They've lost you as a person. But what aggravates the pain is that you didn't leave anything for them. So sometimes when people are crying that they've lost somebody, what multiplies the cry is the fact that when you now start thinking of the fact that, oh, you need to do burial. Oh, this person, just went, nothing on ground. That's what even multiplies the pain. So, but if this guy passed on and the insurance companies, approaches the dependent and say, see, your person actually secured, insured 5 years of his income while he was still alive. So meaning 5 years of your income, what you ought to be earning monthly, you will keep paying those families every month. So what that means is, even though they've lost the person as an individual, they still have something that, they can feed on that would not make them feel the pain so much. All right, because death is inevitable. So anybody can die anytime. So it's very inevitable. So, but it's important that we prepare for our death. As a matter of fact, the topic of insurance, especially life insurance, gives us the room to have conversations around death. And of course, in our culture, in Africa or in Nigeria, we don't see the topic of death as a conversation. Why? Because we just believe that, oh, I beg, we'll not go die. But I see, don't worry, on that event, on that day, if we have enough time to talk about insurance, I'm going to give you a series of how the whites or the Westerners, they converse about death. When I was having a conversation with one of my financial planning, my mentor, she's a financial planner, she was like, I should ask my parents, if they die, what kind of burial would they want? Or if they die, do they have any savings somewhere? And this thing happened practically when she was having a coaching program with one of our clients. And she told this client that, see, ask your mom that if she dies, does she have any savings or any plan for herself, for her burial? Prior to that time, that lady never knew that her mom has a plan for herself, that when she dies, so and so money, has been put aside, maybe with an insurance company, that they will use to do her burial, and she actually spelled out the kind of burial they should do for her. But guess what? You cannot try that. You cannot go and meet your mom now or your dad and be asking him that, sir, when you die, how do you think your burial should be like? But I mean, these are conversations that should happen, because death is something that would happen. It's a must. So, but because of our culture, because of our environment, we avoid some of those conversations. And at the end of the day, that's where you see when somebody dies, they start looking for money to go and do burial. They start borrowing money to do burial. People, families, siblings, the kids all of them are under pressure. Are you aware that if you can take up an insurance policy for your parents, even when they are still alive, take up an insurance policy for them, for their death? So what that means is, if your mom or your dad passed on, the insurance policy will pay you some particular amount of money to do the burial. So you don't have to go and start running up and down to do burial. So you can take policies that governs life, that can ensure the life of your parents. In case they die, there's a particular amount of money the insurance company will pay to you. So even if you take up that insurance policy, for instance, and they don't die before that period, because the insurance policy will say, okay, you have to keep paying insurance every year, let's say for 5 years. So if within that 5 years, no deaths occur, the moment any of them pass on, they will pay you that money. So the money will just be hanging there. So, but if within that 5 years, maybe you've paid for 1 year, 2 years, and a death, eventually occurs, what happens? They will pay you the money they ought to have paid you. So, and you can do insurance for those persons who are married. You can do that kind of insurance for both your parents, maybe your mom and your dad, even for the mom and dad of your wife. Because if the parents of your wife dies, you still have a responsibility to that. So all of these things are happening. These are things that are possibilities. But guess what? Because we don't know some of these things, even you can take insurance policies for the children's education, or for the education of your children, of your unborn children. All right, so these are things that can happen, but that is where financial planning comes in. So when we talk about financial planning, that's where you talk about your income, talk about your financial protection, your insurance, and what have you, the risk management. That's where you talk about your estate planning. That's where you talk about your child educational funding and all of that. So all of those things is what what's maybe in our next training we are going to talk about financial planning. Let's treat financial planning maybe in the next community meeting All right, we'll talk about financial planning so that you understand all of these aspects of financial planning. So you can design a financial plan for yourself, or you pay a financial planner to, do a financial planning module for you, so that you have a roadmap. So when you have a financial plan, it regulates your decisions. It regulates everything you do. People, you start making decisions that people don't understand you, but you are making decisions based on a plan. And guess what? Before you start a building, you can develop a plan. Don't you know that your life is more important than a building? So if you're building the building of a house, you have to develop a plan to build a house. Why don't you think that you need to develop a plan to actually financially build your life? Because your life is even more important than a house. So financial planning is critical. So we're going to talk about it. So I think it's time we do that conversation, or we have that conversation. So we'll talk about it, and maybe in our next community meeting. So I hope that will be more clear for us. So my question is, what is the rule of investment? Is it advisable to invest in a catfish business? Is insurance the only means of managing funds? Please, my laptop is about going off. Let me connect on on my phone. But we will not have to, it may not be on record.